I'm a little bit naughty, I'm a little bit too consumed, but every part of my body is telling me to run away from you. Come a little bit closer, yeah, yeah. Come a little bit closer, yeah. You're a little bit crazy. It's been days, but you never change. What's love got to do with it? He comes around, better knock that stuff down. Come a little bit closer, yeah, yeah. Come a little bit closer, yeah. To all my ladies who got a brother that doesn't treat them right, put your finger right in his face and tell that man bye-bye. I'm too fly, I'm too fly. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. You're a little bit selfish. You get mad every time you lose. You can't take me with you. I'm scared you're gonna blow your fuse. Come a little bit closer, yeah. I can really start over, yeah.
Like it or not.
I'm a little bit naughty, I'm a little bit too consumed.
Like it or not, with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I was going to say happy Friday, Ben.
Hey, man, we're almost there. It's Hump Day Wednesday. Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. It is Wednesday, James, May 19th, 2021. You know what? When I just think about May 19th, I believe today is the birthday of Malcolm X. El Haj Malik El Shabazz. It just crossed my mind today. Yeah, when I said the date. So love and solidarity with the memory of that great champion. Just crossed my mind. It's a very important day. It's also the birthday of some family members and some friends, but definitely Malcolm X today, champion for Black people all across the globe. But also, it is Wednesday, which means we're halfway through the week. James, how's your week going so far, man? How you doing this morning?
Man, it's pretty good. And it's also another special birthday today. The man that gave me life, the one that got me into this music thing and everything.
All right.
It's my daddy's birthday today. So happy birthday, Pop. Got a picture we'll share with y'all later on. We did a little celebration last night, so it was cool. So happy birthday, Daddy. Love you, sir.
Happy birthday to Papa Bubba.
Papa Bubba, right.
Papa Bubba. We celebrate him. Hey, powerful birthday that he has. So there's a lot going on around this country and around the world. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the criminal investigation into the Trump organization. Also, we'll be doing a deep dive into what's been happening in the national strike in Colombia. And later on in the show, we're going to talk about Representative Rashida Tlaib and the confrontation that she had with President Joe Biden on the tarmac yesterday in Detroit as they discussed the ongoing conflict in Israel, along with Marjorie Taylor Greene and some other stories that we're going to cover. But let's begin with the breaking news that broke overnight, the criminal investigation into the Trump administration, or rather the Trump organization. According to Axios.com, New York Attorney General Leticia James's office announced that its investigation into the Trump organization is, quote, no longer purely civil. and that it's joining with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in proceeding with a criminal investigation. Now, this comes after a 2-year-long investigation by the Attorney General's office into whether the Trump Organization improperly inflated assets on financial statements and committed potential bank, tax, and loan fraud. The original investigation began when New York Attorney General Leticia James announced in 2019 that her office was investigating Trump Organization finances. Her office filed a lawsuit in August of 2020 and issued subpoenas for an investigation into whether former President Trump and his company improperly inflated the value of its assets on financial statements. Here is New York Attorney General Leticia James on The View last December describing the investigation into the Trump organization.
The investigation that we are ongoing is as a result of the testimony of Michael Cohen before Congress. And in that, Michael Cohen testified that, in fact, the financial statements of the Trump Organization include information that the president, as well as some of his children, perhaps inflated his assets so that they can get financial terms for loans and for insurance coverage. In addition to that, they deflated those same assets for the purposes of evading and or avoiding tax liability. Our investigation is ongoing. It is a civil investigation in nature. However, there is a criminal investigation that's currently being conducted by the Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance.
Again, now that was last December, and this has now, they announced last night that this has transformed into a criminal investigation. She went on to describe the difficulty her office had getting testimony from Eric Trump, Donald Trump's son, and the executive director, or the executive vice president, rather, of the Trump Organization. Let's take a listen into that clip.
We sought the testimony of Eric Trump, and we filed and served subpoenas upon him. And as you know, during the campaign season, unfortunately, he failed to comply with our subpoenas, and we had to file a motion to compel his testimony. And he objected. Wow. We went into court. We were successful because our powers in the Office of Attorney General are broad. And he came in to testify. And the fact that the president that Mr. Trump is the president of the United States has no bearing on our investigation. And in fact, the election really has no bearing on our investigation. We will continue our investigation whether he's president or not.
Now, as a result of the testimony, as she stated, of Michael Cohen, who testified before Congress, as well as the subpoena testimony of Eric Trump, this has now turned into a criminal investigation, and we will have more information as it comes to us. As far as Eric Trump, well, he was never the brightest member of the already dense Trump family. He went on Sean Hannity last night to discuss his father's big plans to run again in 2024, speaking about how much people really miss the Donald. Unbeknownst to him, the New York Attorney General's office was launching a criminal probe into the organization that he proudly lists himself as the executive vice president of. Let's take a look at that clip.
More people, I can tell you, more people have come up to me on the street in the last week and given me hugs saying, we miss him so much. I mean, literally, sometimes, Sean, with tears in their eyes, we miss the man so much. No matter what you say about him, he loves this country and he's willing to fight for this.
James, with tears in their eyes, they're coming up to him saying, we miss Donald Trump so much. And this was the same night that the Attorney General said, yeah, ain't nobody. Listen, he might have had water too. Yeah, hey, listen, there's enough. There's 70% of Republicans who believe that this man actually had the election stolen from him. I believe him when he says that. Now, it's as ridiculous as it is ridiculous, right? It's just extremely stupid for people to have any. We lost 500,000 people underneath Donald Trump in 1 year, right? But they don't care about those lives. All they care about is being able to own the libs. They're willing to die to own the libs. That said, Eric Trump, he's in trouble too. Like, he is the executive vice president of the Trump organization, and they're going to follow the attorney general. Of New York. She's going to follow this evidence no matter where it lands. And so it's a good possibility that all of the Trump children, but especially Eric Trump, while he's on television with Sean Hannity trying to brag about what his father is going to do in 2024, there's a good possibility that Trump Sr. as well as Eric Trump, they are going to be facing some potential criminal charges in this. And I thought about this, James. It's never really the crimes that are the most egregious that gets these criminals. You think about Al Capone. It wasn't any of his gangster activities. It was the fact that he messed with his taxes. He played with the IRS, and some of these rich white people think that they're so powerful that they've gotten over so many poor people. They've stepped on so many people's necks to get to where they are. They actually think that they could get away with playing with the IRS. And I don't know. I think Donald Trump may find out real quickly, the same way Al Capone found out, that the one person that you don't want to mess with is the initials are IRS. So anyway, what would you think about? You like
throw them all under the jail. Look,
get them all right.
I don't know, Eric. Eric is not my son. He's adopted. He's not really my son. This is BS. This is just something that China came up with. I don't know what is going on. I didn't do any of this. I make a lot of money. Sometimes. I cheat most of the time. It's everybody coochie.
That's the truth. I mean, there it is. He makes money some of the time. I mean, we actually had his tax. We covered his tax records, his tax returns back in, I think it was like October or November of last year. And turns out that he actually isn't as rich as he's been lying to everybody about. So we'll see how this goes for him. But the criminal investigation, that probe has some serious ramifications for the entire Trump family, because they have all been grifting for a very long time. I want to shift gears and move to the uprising and national strike that's occurring in Colombia. And now, before we get too deep into this story, I want to acknowledge one of our supporters, one of our patrons. We're not going to call his name for safety precaution. He is a Colombian, and he gave us detailed information and analysis based on accounts from his friends and family who are on the ground in Colombia about what's been going on for the past 3 weeks and continues to go on even this morning. Coverage of the true magnitude of the crisis has been insufficient in the United States, although outlets such as Democracy Now! And Amy Goodman have made sure to bring to light everything that's happening in that country. I want to start with the official information coming from mainstream news. Here's a brief summary from a Reuters Colombian correspondent, Oliver Griffin, who spoke with CBSN. It's about 3 minutes long, but it helps put this entire crisis into context. Let's take a look in.
Joining us now to talk about what's happening in Colombia is Reuters Colombia correspondent Oliver Griffin. Can you bring us up to date on the sorts of abuses police are being accused of, and have there already been charges brought against any officers since the announcement that violence and abuse will not be tolerated?
Hi. So police here stand accused of killing a number of civilians during protests, of committing certain human rights violations during the course of the protests that we've seen, which started on April 28th. The Attorney General's office has so far confirmed 14. As you mentioned, those numbers are that's 14 deaths. Those numbers are disputed. Local rights groups say that's much higher, as do international rights groups. The Human Rights Watch says it has received credible reports of 49 deaths during the course of these protests, of which one is a police officer. So far, the police say they have launched 122 disciplinary proceedings against police officers since the protests began, and 3 have been charged on murder charges tied to civilian deaths. So it did definitely start in response to a proposed tax reform, which had a number of very, very unpopular items in it. Poverty increased quite dramatically over the course of the pandemic and the lockdowns that we saw last year. But talking to people in the streets as they march since that sort of reform was withdrawn and the former finance minister resigned, what you get a sense of now is just a huge sort of theme of wider frustrations. There's frustrations with police brutality, with a lack of opportunity, a lack of employment, problems with education, general corruption, killings of social leaders and community leaders across parts of the country. And it seems that talking to people, there's just a very deep level of frustration. We saw protests in 2019, then we saw them again in 2020. The government has once again promised a dialogue, which is something we saw after previous protests. Civil society groups are particularly skeptical of what those might achieve, given that, following previous protests, maybe not a lot has really happened. On an economic level, the new finance minister has sort of warned that the roadblocks and what the government says are acts of vandalism have cost the economy maybe $1.6 billion since the protest began. And the agriculture minister has reported that around 700,000 tons of food have been halted due to sort of these kind of blockages that we've seen in parts across the country.
Now, to recap, there's a national strike that has been ongoing in Colombia since April 28th in response to a tax reform the government proposed in response to the nation's economic crisis. Protests have really been ongoing intermittently since 2019 in response to police violence, assassination of community leaders, and poverty. The Colombian government has undercounted the death toll, with local groups and international human rights organizations reporting that to have confirmed 49 deaths as of May 17th. Most casualties have been civilians, with one said to be a police officer. Police claim they have 122 disciplinary cases of officers and 3 cops charged with civilian murders. The protests were organized by labor unions and an umbrella group known as the National Strike Committee. Protesters have also set up roadblocks throughout the city, across the country, and the government has recently said it's coordinating efforts to take the blocks down. The proposed tax changes that led to the current uprising would have raised taxes on anyone making 2.6 million pesos, that's about $706 a month or more, as well as other drastic changes affecting middle and lower incomes. Colombian President Ivan Duque Marquez has stood firmly against a demand that the riot police be dismantled. Now, this next information that I want to give you comes directly from our supporter who is on the ground there in Colombia. And according to him, the internet has been down repeatedly in what is believed to be efforts to hide crimes and violence by authorities and slow the dissemination of information. This is something that we see in many countries when there's a mass uprising. The first thing that is taken down is the internet. The Colombian city of Cali has effectively been under martial law, though this may not have been said officially. There is a heavy military presence throughout the city. It is believed that the death toll is 10 to 20 times what the government is claiming. Bodies have been found downriver in canals, and mortuaries are said to have been threatened by police not to give media any information. At the start of the protest 3 weeks ago, tolls were being set on fire. In response, police were shooting people point blank in the streets, protesters or otherwise. There was a massacre at the La Luna Hotel. The death count has varied, but the handyman that works there claims to have seen 20 bodies. And again, this is reporting directly from one of our supporters who is there on the ground in Colombia. The massacre occurred after police made arrangements to rent space and stock guns, less than lethal weapons and supplies to suppress the public. Sources on the ground say protesters heard of the use of the hotel, and after most of the police left, they attempted to occupy the hotel lobby. Police responded in what is being labeled locally as a massacre. And even the United Nations has expressed concern about everything that is going on. Police claim the protesters tried to burn down the hotel. There are also reports of 2 protesters being jailed and set on fire. Word is that those 2 protesters did not survive. And again, this is direct reporting from an individual who is on the ground there in Colombia. Local report helicopters were deployed beginning May 6th and have been shooting from the sky. The police claim the helicopters are only tracking protesters. They deny any shooting. So this is an ongoing crisis that is not getting a lot of coverage here in the United States. And honestly, because at the core of it, it really does break down to the have and the have-nots. It does break down to an issue of labor versus capital. It does break down along the lines of the issues that our country normally ignores. Now, our patron, who has personally seen footage of police setting homes on fire and throwing flares and smoke bombs through windows, is who has been reporting this last portion to us. Women in the protests have been dragged off, supposedly arrested, but there have been reports of rape and otherwise. So this is, James, as we look at these images that are on our screen right now, it really just goes to show you that the unrest that we're seeing is something that's not just happening here domestically. We're seeing it in other nations, but across the globe, we are seeing the people rising up, and in response to the people rising up, we see the extent to which these police states will crack down. You know, some of these images could very well have been from the Minneapolis protests during the George Floyd protests. Some of these images could very well be the disaster and the carnage that we see that's happening in Gaza with the Israeli government of Benjamin Netanyahu bombing civilians and killing people. Like, these are images that are replicated across the globe. And I honestly believe that the core of it is anytime the people, not the powerful, but anytime the people rise up, we see that these governments will go as far as they have to. They will bomb if necessary. They will use the police state. They will abuse citizens that they claim to represent, but they will use the police state to crush any dissent that they feel is a threat to their power. And here we are, not only what's going on in Israel, but now we see what's going on in Colombia and across the globe. The people are rising up, and the powerful are trying to crush that dissent. But I do believe that the people will win in the end. James, let's go to a quick break, and when we come back, we have to come back and discuss more about what's happening in Gaza and the confrontation between Representative Rashida Tlaib and Joe Biden that took place on the tarmac yesterday. More like it or not, right after this.
Good morning again, everyone. Hope y'all are enjoying the show thus far. Make sure that y'all tune in. And if you want to become a patron, y'all, patreon.com/like-it-or-not, patreon.com/like-it-or-not. Dwayne, can you go ahead and throw that picture on the screen for me, y'all? Y'all take a look. This is my father. And shout out to my dad. Happy birthday again to you, sir. You are the reason I'm in this music thing. If it wasn't for you, Bubba wouldn't be DJing right now, sir. So love you, Pop. Really appreciate you. And while we at it, y'all, we're going to get some of our new patrons read off this morning as well, too. Look at my daddy with his pink outfit, his salmon outfit on. Pop, killing the game. Happy birthday again, Daddy. Well, y'all, I'm going to get these new patron members read off as well, too, this morning. Let's see. New patrons for yesterday. We have David A. We have Emily. Rusty E. New Twitch subscribers. Shout out to our people that's streaming from Twitch right now, y'all. And J55, who subscribed with Prime. Hollywood 2000, who subscribed with Prime. And Pranay 1976, who subscribed for 7 months with Prime. Shout out to you, Pranay. We appreciate y'all, and you too. Let me drop the music down real quick. You too can become a member of the Patreon and support the Like It or Not show and be included in exclusive content and get access to the Patreon parties. DJ to be like yours truly, DJ exclusive. It's something that you don't want to miss. So what we need you to do, patreon.com/like-it-or-not. Patreon.com/like-it-or-not. Choose your own players level. Do whatever you need to do. You can get in there and make it happen, y'all. So go ahead, join. Let's get it. And we're going to get into some of this good music, y'all. Shout out, Mom. Good morning, Mama. Can't forget about you, Mama, because if I don't say anything to Mama on the air, Mama will come and find me. So good morning, Mama. And good morning, Sensation. I see y'all. Thank y'all, everybody, for the birthday love, for Pops and everything. And thank you for tuning in. So make sure that y'all stay tuned.
You do to me, babe, I can guarantee. Honey, I got what you need.
All right.
Under the night sky, I want your eyes. So
good morning, morning, everyone that's streaming from Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're streaming from. Good morning. Make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe, leave us a comment, share, all of that good stuff, y'all. Is like it or not.
Can't feel me. No, can't handle it. Right. Do you want it?
Shout out Sherry Schubert, who's listening in Montreal right now, who's listening from Montreal. Shout out to you. We worldwide around here, y'all. Y'all didn't know? So shout out to Mark S. Mark S. said, throw in a couple of shekels at Patreon. That's the language that Ben like here. It's like them old people coming in like, hey, I got some shekels for you. Shout out Chuck Diesel, one of the hardest working moderators in the building, y'all. We appreciate you, Chuck. All right, y'all, welcome back to the screen. Brother from another mother, Benjamin Dixon, y'all.
Hey, man. Yeah. No, it's the shekels, man. Something strange for a couple of shekels. Oh, man, no. Yeah, a very special good morning to everyone who is listening. And I guess we can't say good morning to our international listeners because it could be very well like midnight for I think yesterday. We had some people from New Zealand and we had the couple from Australia that tunes in. Shout out to the listener in Montreal. It's just and actually shout out to our supporters down in Colombia. It is a wonderful thing to hear directly from all the people who are listening and watching internationally, and you know, it's interesting how many people abroad are concerned about what happens in America because of how impactful the American government is, and that's putting it nicely, right? Impactful is a very nice way of saying empire, right? They really do have a vested interest in understanding the American political system and who's going to be the president of this empire because they have the ability to set foreign policy almost exclusively. The president of the United States has almost as much impact on the lives of people abroad as their own prime minister, as their own leader. And so this issue that's going on in Israel right now, a lot of us are looking directly to Joe Biden to do something about it because he has the ability to do something about it, even if it's just simply withholding the funding that we continuously give Israel. Those are our tax dollars that are going to fund the atrocities that we're seeing every single day now. And so yesterday, President Biden traveled to a factory in Dearborn, Michigan. Now, Dearborn is 47% Arab American. When he arrived, Representative Rashida Tlaib met him on the tarmac and was photographed speaking with the president and first lady. Now, according to a Democratic aide, Tlaib reinforced much of what she said in her floor speech on the House floor, urging the president to protect Palestinian lives and human rights. Representative Debbie Dingell, another Democrat from Michigan, who represent the district the factory is located in, was on the tarmac as well and said the Tlaib exchange was part of an important dialogue and that, quote, it was very compassionate, honest discussion. But the president doesn't deal with these kinds of issues in public and he doesn't negotiate in public. Okay. During his speech, President Biden spoke directly to Rashida Tlaib, Representative Tlaib. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
And Rashid Tlaib, where's Rashid? I tell you what, Rashid, I want to say to you that I admire your intellect, I admire your passion, and I admire your concern for so many other people. And it's from my heart, I pray that your grandmom and family are well. I promise you I'm going to do everything to see that they are on the West Bank. You're a fighter, and God, thank you for being a fighter. And Andy Levin, know a lot of Levins, and Haley Stevens, thank you all as well.
Mr. President, her name is Rashida Tlaib, and I'm sure that when she spoke to you on the tarmac that she wasn't asking for acknowledgement. That's cool. But what's more important is that you, sir, have the ability to actually bring this to an end with one phone call. There are also 3 protests in Dearborn, Michigan, coordinated in light of the president's visit. I want to take a look at a short clip of some of those protests.
Today we're gathered from all walks of life. But today, we are all Palestinians.
There's one other thing that I want to say about this morning, James. I didn't see this until this morning, and we'll probably do a full reporting on this tomorrow. But there was a YouTuber who lived in Gaza, and he had a YouTube channel alongside his daughters, and his name was Ahmed Al-Mansi. And his videos, if you go to his YouTube channel, you could see the joy that this man had with his children. And it was a beautiful channel. I mean, it was beautiful not only in terms of the emotional connection that he had with his children, but just even the aesthetics of it. It was just bright and beautiful and colorful. Everything that you would think that you would see from a family vlog. His last video was of him telling his daughters to not be afraid, telling them that everything was going to be all right. And we found out this morning that he was killed. Not only he was killed, but his brother was killed in airstrikes that are being conducted by the right-wing government of Benjamin Netanyahu. And those bombs that are being dropped, those planes that are being flown, those are our weapons, the United States of America. And I bring him up, and I don't have a picture of him, but I do have it on all my timelines. You can see it. I bring it up because the way these things continue to happen, they happen because we don't see the humanity in the lives of the people who are being killed. We don't. We just see them as some abstract other. We see them as almost as just numbers. And at best, we see the government see them as collateral damage, at best, if they even acknowledge. And if you go to this man's YouTube channel, and I'll get the link and we'll put it in the YouTube channel. We'll put it in all the chats. But I just want you all to see that these are real people. These are fathers and mothers and children who are being killed because of the political ambitions of a far right-wing fascistic leader by the name of Benjamin Netanyahu, who does not represent the totality of the Israeli government, of the Israeli state, or the Jewish people. These are his political ambitions. This is his way of wagging the dog to get the political power that he needs to protect himself from the criminal investigation that he's under in his own nation. And the price? The lives of real people who love their children as much as you love your children, who love their life as much as you love your life, who have dreams and hopes and aspirations just like you have dreams, hopes, and aspirations. Those people are being killed right now. And they're being killed because of politics and the political ambition of one man and the far right-wing government that supports him, and the United States of America, who uses our tax dollars to fund their atrocities. If we cannot see on an international stage that those people who may be thousands of miles away from us are as human as we are, if we can't see that, then we are far more than complicit with our tax dollars. We're complicit by dehumanizing human life and sitting back and watching it happen without the connection of realizing that they are our brothers. They are our sisters. They are our human family. And right now, our human family is suffering across the globe because of the political ambitions of men. And that has got to change. James, take us to a break. We'll be back with more Like It or Not after this.
Again, make sure that you follow Like It or Not Show on Instagram and Facebook. Like It or Not Show on Instagram and Facebook.
Sticks and stones may break my bone, but your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, I ain't been right more than I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just
shout out to everybody that's streaming on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're streaming from. Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all.
No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me, no, no, no. I know it's hard to be polite, and it's easy being petty. My mama used to tell me that I use it when you ready. And it's crazy how my brother said it could've been my status. Either prison or a grave, that's where everybody tell me. Man, life ain't a beach, it's a female dog. I'm staying 10 toes down, though I still might fall. Oh yeah, now I done came through, knocking pictures off my wall. Loving people who persecute you, they still love me alive. On my path and the lamp under my feet. I know my faith strong.
And Tino, you're absolutely right. They will not stop our grand rising.
And I feel like disrespect, let me turn my other cheek and say sticks and stones may break my bone, but your word can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, I ain't been right more than I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just can't hurt me. No. No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me, no, no, no.
Shout out brother Leticia, Tyler, how you doing?
No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me, no. See, it's hard to be polite, it's easy being petty. Mama used to tell me, gotta use you when you're ready. Cause I ain't working on my own timing. Ain't got no diamonds on me, but I stay shining, yeah, yeah. They say the world would be a better place if we take out the hate.
Stop all the hate right now.
Yeah, let's keep it real, it'd be better if we just subtract the fake.
Are you feeling me?
So be a light up on my path and a lamp under my feet. I know my faith strong, but my flesh still kinda weak. When that victory be looking like the verge of defeat, and I feel like disrespect, help me turn my other cheek and say sticks and stones may break my bone, but your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, I ain't been right.
Tell me why
Wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just
you want from me. Tell me what it is, don't tell me what it ain't. They try to throw stars, it just made the pressure raise. Going through a phase, gotta get myself out it. Don't talk about it, boy, they said you gotta be about it. So I be trying to face the world head on. Front seat riding, cruising down the meadows. Pedal to the meadow, cool breeze blowing down the window.
Christmas, y'all, appreciate the love, y'all, I appreciate y'all.
On the interstate in traffic, I swerve.
Brother Leticia, I appreciate you.
What's the word now? The links hit me up, we could go now. I got hella pieces, she got hella features. Shimmy hella geeked up, she be blowing shisha. Reefer on me loud, hope the boys don't creep up. I don't know it then, if you do not speak up. In my own world, I don't try to girl, tell me what you want. Don't be trying to front like I ain't what you want. I ain't here to stun, let me take you out.
All right, welcome back, y'all. Benjamin Dixon.
Licks in the blunt.
Ooh, James.
All these girls showing up, but
appreciate you, man. Man, you provide a critical service for this show to for this show to continue. No, seriously, real talk. Like it is vital. Were we able to grab that photo yet of Ahmad? And it's just a screen capture of him and his daughter, one of his daughters. He has, I believe, 2 daughters and a son. I don't know, man. I don't know, James. It's like we're really disconnected here in this country. It's hard for us to even have sympathy and empathy for people who live in our neighborhoods sometimes. You know what I mean? Like we've been so conditioned and trained to be selfish, and all we think about every day is like how we're gonna get our bag. You know what I mean? All we think about every day is how we're gonna how we're gonna come up and right. Our Instagram feeds, and we really think about some of the most petty things that are imaginable. And the price of what we have here in the United States far too often is the complete annihilation of entire groups of people, their families. Like this what we got in America ain't free. And I'm not talking about the troops. I'm talking about American imperialism, and I'm talking about the fact that we can turn a blind eye to Israel doing what they're doing right now. And hell, like we've been turning a blind eye. We had Representative Congressman Ro Khanna on about a month or two ago, and we were talking about what happens, what's going on right now in Yemen, and we're oblivious to it because I think if people honestly connected with the humanity, if people honestly saw people in Yemen, if Americans saw the people of Yemen as human and the Palestinian people as human and the people in Colombia as human, if we actually saw them as like real people, I don't think America could continue to do what it does. It wouldn't be able to, because then we would realize that, hell, like the only reason that's not us is because we were lucky enough to be born inside America, inside the empire. And so this YouTube channel, I don't know, like I really, really, really hope that YouTube channel is connected to the bank account that those children can get access to. And that's the YouTube channel of Ahmad Mansi, because I hope that every video that is on that channel goes viral into the tunes of millions of views, so that at a minimum those children can have a life that's provided for them by their father, even though he's gone because he was taken away from them. He was murdered by airstrikes, using our bombs, using our planes, using our funding. This is Ahmed. Yeah, you can bring him back on the screen. This is he and his two of his daughters. Like he literally did the same thing that I do. Provide for his family through YouTube. And I'm a germaphobe and all those kind of things. I got, a lot of anxiety in my life, but I only really fear one thing, man. It's not death. I fear not being able to raise my kids. And Benjamin Netanyahu, with the approval of Joe Biden, and don't get it twisted, anybody, all these intentionally obtuse people who are like, oh, see, that's what you get for voting for Joe Biden. Do you think that Donald Trump, who moved the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, as inflammatory as that was, as horrible of a political move as that was, do you think this man Donald Trump, who completely ignored, he didn't even mention the Palestinian people, did not have any regard. Do you think that man would do anything different? Yeah, actually, I do. I think that he would double down his support for Benjamin Netanyahu and disregard the lives of the Palestinian people. So miss me with that stuff about, oh, well, nobody should have voted for Joe Biden. Yeah, because you know what? We're going to put pressure on Joe Biden to the point where we will cripple his entire administration if he doesn't do the right thing. Because those are our bombs. Those are our planes. Those are our tax dollars. That is our technology. That's our logistical support that's going to take these lives. And James, I'm just looking at it, man, like take me down, put him back, put Ahmad back on the screen. If you got that second image, the one where the light is shining on his face and shining on his daughter's face, I want the people to see that, because that's a dude who's no longer here. And his job, what he did, he took care of his family the same way I take care of my family. There's no difference. The only difference is that he spoke a different language. If there is a person in our audience who can help me do some translating, I want to translate his channel. Look at that, man. That's what our tax dollars are doing right now. They're destroying these families. Just leave his picture and the picture of his daughter. His daughter right now would be like my little Elizabeth mourning me if something happened to me. And now she has to grow up without her father because of the political ambitions of scumbags who don't have any hesitation about killing people in order to get political power. How utterly barbaric humanity can be. And this is approved by the American government. Goddamn America. Ahmed was me. The only difference is I was born inside of the American empire, and I don't have to ever worry about bombs flying over my head. Not yet. But if we as a nation keep supporting and ignoring and endorsing this type of atrocity, then who am I to tell other nations what they need to do to protect themselves from us? Who am I to tell someone who is the recipient of American empire how they should respond and how they should defend themselves from us? I just need every single one of us to connect with the humanity. There's only one difference between the people who are suffering in Yemen and us. There's only one difference between the people who are suffering in Gaza right now, the Palestinian people, and us. There's only one difference between the people in Colombia who are suffering right now and us. It's the fact that we are either living inside the American empire so we're safe, or we're living in one of our proxy governments and you're safe. That's it. If by the luck of the universe you had been born outside of the borders of this empire, you very well would have to be explaining and lying to your children, saying everything is going to be all right. And little do you know that the next day you will be killed by American weapons. That is the reality of this global order right now. Joe Biden, you have the ability to stop this. And while you're stopping this, don't stop with what's happening to the Palestinian people. Keep going and help liberate the people of Yemen. Keep going and get every single one of our troops out of Iraq, get every single one of our troops out of Afghanistan. And while you're at it, Joe Biden does this thing. He does this thing with every single speech that he gives. He likes to connect with the heart of the people. And he generally does so by telling the story of his son, who died of, I believe, brain cancer. And he does so by connecting to the story of his daughter and his daughter who passed away in a car accident with his first wife. And that's a real thing. That's like a real pain that he suffers every single day. I don't downplay that at all. I don't envy what he has had to go through in his lifetime, the sorrow that Joe Biden has had to go through his lifetime. Joe, America's policies is bringing that sorrow to millions of people across the globe every single day. The pain that you feel over your son, the pain that you feel over your family that tragically died, American foreign policy is bringing that pain to people across the globe every single day. And if you understand, I know you do. I don't have to ask you to pose it as a question. I know you understand sorrow, Joe Biden. I need you to understand that America is bringing that type of sorrow 1,000,000 times over because of our empire and because of governments that we support, like the far right wing government of Benjamin Netanyahu. And the Saudi government as they execute their war in Yemen. All right, I'm not going to go to a break. We're just going to keep on moving because we have a lot more to cover before we get to the after party. Let's bring it back to some American politics because it's sufficiently stupid enough for us to break out of this heaviness that we got this morning. Because America's so stupid, James. America's so goddamn stupid. It's almost like they should have featured us. Actually, they did. Remember that movie Idiocracy?
Right.
Idiocracy. Who knew that was going to be the history of our president? After the announcement was made that a possible agreement was reached on a bipartisan 9/11 style commission on the January 6th insurrection, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has said he opposes the commission. And sources say the same of Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. They do not want to support the full-on investigation into the terrorist attack, the insurrection of January 6th, because in my estimation, they understand that the investigation is going to come to their doorsteps. So, of course, they wouldn't support that investigation. I want to play a very short clip. It's only 9 seconds long, but I want you to see just how stupid American politicians are. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, she took to the floor and she used her time to paint the terrorists that took part in the insurrection as victims. But I want you to listen very clearly at the language that she uses as she describes what those people did. Take a look in.
The people who breached the Capitol on January 6th are being abused, some even being held for 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. The people who breached the Capitol on January 6th are being abused, some even being held for 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. The people who breached the Capitol on January 6th are being abused, some even being held for 23 hours a day in solitary confinement.
I had him play it 3 times because it's right at the beginning. Her dumb ass said the people who breached the Capitol of the United States. Exactly, Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's exactly why there needs to be an investigation, because those people who breached, perfect word, you couldn't have said it any better. I couldn't have said it any better. They breached the Capitol on January 6th. And yeah, you know what? I don't care what they're going through right now. They are going through the same thing people go through in the criminal justice system. As a matter of fact, I'm sure they have a much better situation than protesters who are protesting on behalf of Black lives. But this is the level of ignorance that we're dealing with. They know exactly what happened on January 6th. They just don't want there to be any accountability. Tucker Carlson had a lot to say and weigh in on this situation. Of course he did. And this is how he framed it. Let's take a look.
Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader in the House, today did something right. He said he will not support a commission, a 9/11 style commission, to investigate the insurrection of January 6th. Remember that? It's when a bunch of middle-aged people deep in credit card debt, white supremacists, teamed up with a guy dressed like Chewbacca to overthrow our democracy. Why are they against it? Because it's a farce. It's a complete farce. It's partisan as hell. It's fake. Don't play along with the fraud.
The police here are willing to work with us and cooperate peacefully, like our First Amendment allows. Gather more Americans under the condition that they will come and gather peacefully to discuss what needs to be done to save our country.
One other or the other. You need a show. You understand? Then show us no attacking, no assault, remain calm.
We're not going to assault. We're going to be heard. Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This has to be peaceful. We have the right to peacefully assemble.
But the people you saw in the video, some of them, thanks to Joe Biden's Justice Department, have been charged with crimes. What kind of crimes? Well, not sedition. If it was insurrection, why aren't they charged with sedition? If they're murderers, why not charge them with murder? No, they were charged with things like disorderly conduct and entering a restricted area, trespassing. And yet dozens of them have been kept in solitary confinement in the D.C. jail as they await trial. Ever been to the D.C. jail? You want to go. When the last administration, for example, sent federal agents to stop Antifa, Nancy Pelosi said it was a violation of their, quote, dignity and First Amendment rights. Chuck Schumer called it, quote, despicable. Maybe that's why Nancy Pelosi is refusing to include BLM and Antifa riots from the scope of the 9/11 style commission. Why? Because they're her voters, so she's not going to investigate them. Unlike Republicans, Nancy Pelosi defends her own voters at all costs. People like Congressman John Katko of New York, he's the top Republican on the House Homeland Security Committee, is apparently pushing for this 9/11 style commission. One anonymous House Republican told The Hill that anywhere from between 30 and 50 Republicans might join Katko in voting for this farce. What are they voting for? They're voting to give Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden more power, power they do not deserve, power they did not win in November. Republican voters deserve to know the names of every congressional Republican who votes for this farce, for the myth-making that is being used right now to strip you of your constitutional rights.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hey.
They said.
Good morning.
This dude said that Antifa and Black Lives Matter support Nancy Pelosi. I don't know well, first of all, there ain't no organization called Antifa, but I don't know anybody who's like a member of Antifa, if you want to call it a membership, or Black Lives Matter, who's running around here saying that they rock with Nancy Pelosi. But that's besides the point. The point is that they don't want any accountability for the terrorist attack of January 6th. And now they want us to feel so bad for the dudes who actually got arrested and now being held in solitary confinement. But they're terrorists. What do they expect? So good morning, Rebecca. What you think about all this and how you doing?
I'm doing good. As far as them trying to make excuses for those terrorists who attacked the Capitol, they're literally living off of these moments. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene uses these moments because she knows it's going to give her more eyes on her, and eventually she's going to write a book about it.
Yep.
And Tucker Carlson got another show. Yeah, and Tucker Carlson got another show. Yeah. For his speaking, his talking points on the Capitol terrorist. And this is why I say we gotta fight them back at their game. If we're just sitting on the sidelines being cute, pulling up to work, doing nothing, the people who have those positions doing nothing for the ones who do nothing. And how can we be able to battle this out? Because they're winning just by being them. But like just harder, right? So we need to come harder. We're good people, people on the left, for the most part, we want good things. So we need to definitely, we need to definitely step our game up when it comes to these people, because there is no way that a woman who was behind so many conspiracy theories has a seat, and all they did was kind of mute her, like they, the same thing they did with Donald Trump. But he has people who are speaking from him on their own platforms, publications who are still writing for him, people who are still allowing him to hold speaking engagements. So this is why it's like they give them more flowers as they do trashy things here in America. It's so backwards. So just watching that, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. Like I said, Tucker Carlson is a growing monster. Like he is growing and growing and growing and growing. So I think more so during this pandemic, he grew from the way that he was speaking about the pandemic, and also because of his right-wing talking points that were very extreme on the terrorist attack. And that's the reason why we have what we have. And you said, I was watching you say that Marjorie Taylor Greene was stupid because she said they breached, right? Now they'll tell the truth, but you think anybody else heard what you heard? They're just like, they probably heard like they breached for Donald Trump. They breached the name of America. They breached to save America from Black Lives Matter. That's what they heard. So
yeah, that's the go ahead, James. I'm sorry.
I was about to read this super chat real quick, but go ahead, man.
No, I'm just laughing because you're absolutely right. They know exactly what happened, and they know exactly what they're doing. This is all a big game to them, and you're right. They're making money off of this. They're going to keep making money off of this. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I can't imagine her actually stringing some sentences together and creating a book, writing a book. It probably would be, what reading level would it be at? Like a sloth reading level? And
they'll buy it up though.
They will buy it up, and it'll be a bestseller with 3 pages on it. The Cat in the Hat, right? Green eggs
just
and
pictures.
Ham.
Just pictures.
Just pictures.
Funny.
But this is how they promote themselves, and this is how they grow. And then they need a boogeyman, and so the boogeyman now is again Antifa and Black Lives Matter, right? And the fact that we want to take over the government and we want to work. You think Nancy Pelosi got anything in common with us, like for real, like outside of not being a full-on fascist? Like, do you think she actually is going to be out there and doing something on behalf of Black Lives Matter? She's going to pass legislation that's going to help.
She's going to wear kente cloths, and that's she's going to kneel, and she's going to say, her family in the midst of a crisis against people of color. Like this is what Nancy Pelosi is going to do. So I don't.
But it's scary. It's scary. It's like that's what they're saying. Oh, this is what
she's gonna clap behind Donald Trump, and everybody's gonna be like, Nancy Pelosi did
wait, the clap. Right, that.
She killed that. Nancy Pelosi read him like a book
by clapping.
Girl, it'd be too much. Y'all be doing too much, people. Y'all literally people do the minimum, and y'all
get so excited.
Y'all will give them all of it. And I'm like, but the person was doing their job, the job that is required of them. And that's crazy. The bar is set so low that nobody has done their jobs, that you guys are excited when we put people in place and they actually do their job.
Minimum.
It's crazy.
Bare minimum. Read that super chat for us, James. What is
Infinite Content said, being as a board member of Antifa, LLC, and BLM Incorporated, I can state that we do not, in fact, support Nancy Pelosi like that. Thank you for your concerns.
Well, there you have it, folks. The official leaders of Black Lives Matter and Antifa say that we ain't got nothing to do with Nancy Pelosi. But that said, it's just a game. It's a game. And you're right, Rebecca. The thing I heard the most is that we got to step up our game, and we got to step up our game with larger platforms, because Tucker is talking to 3.4 million people a night. Every single night.
Because CNN ain't doing it right. CNN ain't doing it right. And I apologize for my raspier voice today. It's been a long night. Now, but CNN ain't doing it right. You guys have these platforms, MSNBC. I think somebody that I used to like, not that I don't like them anymore, but I don't watch her anymore, Rachel Maddow, who used to have these good, like hard hitting, but in her nice, I like the way that she speaks, in her nice, calm
professorial
voice. Yes. It was not like, I like the way that she spoke. But now we got to take it a step up from that, because, the comedic ones aren't doing it either. Like, like Trevor Noah, I like your hot takes. I like them. But, it takes you to SNL. It brings you to SNL, and it brings you to host award shows, which is fine. But I'm going to need the Tucker Carlsons, in our world, on these other channels that claim to be, but not,
because they got the reach. They can compete with this evil coming from Tucker Carlson.
But they say
trying to
so
play.
Much.
They're trying to be nice. They're trying to be
bipartisanship.
Yeah, they're trying to be cosmopolitan. They want to be nice and accepted in the circles of New York, right? When on the scene after, that was great. That's such a great segment that you did, Trevor. That was such an amazing segment, Rachel Maddow. When in reality, you're fighting against people who would lead us into a civil war because they believe, like, you think Fox News is going to back down from like a full-on civil war? They're going to be on there cheering it on because they know their ratings are going to go up, 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 and up. In the meanwhile, you got CNN, you got MSNBC, and you got The Daily Show. They're out there playing. They're the NPR. They're trying to be NPR on television. And how many of y'all listen to NPR?
I used to. Now, I
when things were easier, nicer, and calmer.
Look, I just no. Do they do the Tiny Desk?
That's on the internet. I don't even think that's on.
Look, that's
I listen
all.
to the music.
They do Tiny Desk. Oh, okay. So y'all listen to NPR then.
That's not. Look, that's all, folks. That's it. No, but and you have Andrew Cuomo, who leads the forefront. On CNN, you have Don Lemon, and they'll do their monologues. And I love a written word because I like that they are able to say stuff from their point of views, right? In those moments. But now it's like they have to get a viral piece. It has to be viral, which Tucker Carlson does do as well. He knows what's going to be viral. But I feel like he really means what he says when he says it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, I really do think that this pandemic is stupid. I mean, I'm going to get vaccinated because, I told you, like, those type of people are dumb. The people who follow them are dumber. So he believes that he needs to lead the forefront of a cult, just like, and I hate to say it, like Hitler. Hitler looked nothing like the people that he wanted everybody else to look like. Like blonde hair, blue eyes. He didn't look like that, but yet he said that was the Aryan nation was the way, right? people really followed that trash. People really followed that ideal. So that's what I feel like the people, Tucker Carlson folks do. And, over there at Fox. Listen,
Rebecca, I've, in all these years, I think that was in the back of my mind, but damn it, you just put that together. Them dummies followed Hitler to build an Aryan nation that dude didn't even look like. And here
they followed him though.
They followed him right off the cliff towards genocide. And here you are. You're right. They are following, like, in a flip way. Tucker Carlson know his ass is vaccinated. No, everybody who works for him, every person every maid that comes in and cleans his house, he knows that they are covering their face with masks. And y'all dumbasses are following this man right into the grave because
he believes when he says what he says. Like, he has to make himself like the pandemic is dumb. I'm vaccinated, but the pandemic only
wearing a mask is dumb.
And I should get a cult together to let them know that the pandemic is dumb and they can't wear masks. Okay, good. This is what I'm going to go with. And then he goes on air and it is believable. Now when I watch CNN and I watch how now being, Van Jones, who,
crying on air,
they'll use him because they know he's going to cry.
Mm-hmm.
They know that. So CNN says this black man crying, showing emotion is making us emotional. I'm not saying for all the people that are on it, for all the correspondents, because I see the ones that are on the streets. I think those are the realest ones to me.
The ones that are out there in the field. Yeah.
Yeah. The ones that are out there in the field. And not to say like nobody that does it, from the, from their living rooms or from, the anchor's desk but when you do have that position, it's a little bit more powerful, right? Because you're the one that gets the most talking time. So let the people know what you're really about, not just when you have your monologue and you wrote it so good and because it meant something to you last month, but because for the network you work on, they told you to do it again and get that same sentiment. It's now not natural anymore. Like you don't feel it anymore because now you're just coming. You're going to get a viral moment. We're going to play it on one of these, one of our shows, which is going to give you more playtime. So it's like, that's what it has become. But believe that, like, try to believe it so that you can get a cult too. A cult of people to do good things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, get our army together and get it right.
But they don't want to. You know why they don't want to? And this really goes back to the primaries. It goes back to 2016. With the people who are leading the Democratic Party, they're just not prepared. The people who are leading these media companies, they're just not prepared for the fights that are coming. The fights that are coming, like Fox News, they're prepared. Fox News doesn't even really make on Tucker Carlson's show. They don't make the money off of advertisers because so many advertisers have left. They make their money. They get paid off of anybody who has a cable subscription. So Tucker is in a way costing them money, but they believe in that audience so much that they would lose money with Tucker Carlson in order to continue to spread that message. They are ideologues. They believe this. This is not about money for them, even though they are able to make money off of their network in general. Fox News is plenty paid, but they're not making that money with Fox News, with Tucker Carlson's hour and with his advertisers because he barely has any advertisers left. They do this because they believe it. They do this because they really believe in their white supremacy. They really believe in their agenda. MSNBC, CNN, the Democratic Party, neoliberalism, they don't really believe in anything except like the American institutions, but they don't believe in the fight that is necessary to actually push back. And here we are. The Supreme Court is getting ready to roll back Roe versus Wade. Like by next year, there's a strong possibility that Roe versus Wade, a woman's right to choose, is going to be rolled back. Do you think CNN and Fox and MSNBC are prepared to do what's necessary from a media perspective to make sure that doesn't happen? No, they're just going to have own commentators. They're going to have arguments about it. They're going to get clicks off of it. But then when it's all said and done, Fox News would have moved the political agenda in this country so far right. And then on the other side of the equation, MSNBC will still be doing their boring monologues with no real substance that is going to mobilize the people to actually fight back against this right-wing fascism that's creeping in this country. So that said, no, we can't. We have to step up our game, but one of the ways we have to step up our game is getting these people like, these institutions like MSNBC and CNN who are doing a disservice to this country. They got to get up out the paint and make way for people who are actually going to fight the fights that are being fought against us by Fox News. Anyway, there's a lot more. We have a whole lot more to cover because we didn't get through as many stories as I wanted to this morning. The news was heavy this morning as usual. This is really crazy times. We're going to take it over to the after party. James, Rebecca, jump in there. Oh, don't forget this Friday night, we're having another patron party. You want to be there. It was off the chain. We partied till about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, they partied till about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I checked out. My eyes were bloodshot by midnight. But James is there spinning all of the music that you hear and that you love so much. Old school, new school, anything, all the hits. Patreon.com/like it or not to get access to it. If you are a patron of the Benjamin Dixon Show, you get access to it. And then if you are a Twitch subscriber, you also get access to it. You can become a Twitch subscriber without spending any money. If you are a member of Amazon Prime, which, that's fine. Make sure, that you at least take $5 away from Jeff Bezos by giving it to our show. So go to twitch.tv and you can use your you can use your Amazon Prime as a way of supporting the show. It doesn't cost you another penny. It takes $5 away from Jeff Bezos. That said, today, I don't know if any of you who are watching me actually eat at McDonald's, but today of all days, do not eat at McDonald's. There is a worker strike that is occurring across the country. McDonald's workers are fighting for $15 an hour, and we want to stand in solidarity with them. Do not go and eat that nasty food at McDonald's today of all days.
It's nasty today. Because then we had a conversation about that food. And
the French fries be busting.
That French nasty food. I said, hold on now. We can go back a few episodes and see.
Look. It's nasty today. It's gonna give you it's gonna give you high blood pressure, especially today. If you cross that picket line and eat McDonald's today, it's gonna give you diabetes. So don't go eat that poison today in solidarity with the McDonald's workers.
Don't go eat it.
I gotta go up to this McDonald's down the street to see if they protested or not.
Yeah.
I like the way you say McDonald's
and some fries.
He said the McDonald's. The McDonald's up the street.
McDonald's.
Anywho, let's head over to the after party. It is 9:40, and that's all I got. I apologize for every morning. This is my apology for every single morning until they change my shift. For coming in at the time I come in. I love you guys.
This is a one-time apology for all of it.
This is it for all of it. Okay, I want to be here with y'all in the mornings too.
2021.
Right. I'm sorry, 2021. That's it. For all 2021. I love you guys. Mean it. We'll see you guys in the after party. So I can tell you about my night.
There it is. All right, James, it's in your hands. We'll see you at the after party.
Shout out to everybody again for tuning in, y'all. We greatly appreciate y'all. Make sure that you hit that like button, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, so you know when Like It or Not is going down. And like Ben and Rebecca said, patreon.com/like it or not, patreon.com/like it or not. You do not want to miss this Friday. Okay, so make sure that you come, get ready for the patron party, have your dollars prepared to tip your DJ, because I'm going to do some things that you have never seen before with this music thing. So make sure that you have your face in the place, y'all. It does sound like OnlyFans, doesn't it, Rebecca? That's right. OnlyFans is coming soon, too, because I need to stop working in corporate America. So OnlyFans is coming next week. All right. So I hate you. Somebody come get Rebecca. I will say take her down, but she's already off the screen, so it's okay. I still love her. It's my time to cry. I know, right? So yes, y'all. It's my time to cry now. You know he about to put you right up right now. He waiting for the right time too. He looking at the camera. For the right time. Cause you prove to me that rising to the top was my destiny. And you can see whatever from behind me. So y'all, thank y'all again for tuning in. It's time for the after party, y'all. So we will see y'all there. Patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/like it or not. Love y'all. Deuces. It could all be worse. I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Close to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you. From the inside out, it's time to say it with your chest now. Say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here.